The night did not arrive suddenly. It did not fall from the sky, and it did not crawl out of the shadows. It waited, as if it had always known this would be the moment everything changed. The city stood silent beneath the moon, not asleep, not peaceful, holding its breath. Lanterns flickered in windows, then went dark. One by one, as though an unseen hand moved through the streets, extinguishing light itself. People felt it in their bones, a pressure in the chest, a weight behind the eyes. No one spoke. No one prayed. Some truths are too old to be asked for mercy. He stood alone at the edge of the central square, stone beneath his boots, cold air against his skin. In his hand the eyes rested a crown of blackened iron. It was heavier than it looked, not with metal, but with memory, the kind of weight that does not press down on the arms, but on the soul. This crown had never ruled. It had never united kingdoms, never inspired loyalty. It had been forged for one purpose only, to end things. They had warned him, not loudly, not with anger, but with silence. The silence of men who have already seen how the story ends. The old priest's words returned to him now. Power, he had whispered, never arrives alone. It brings hunger. It brings memory. And it always asks for more than you are willing to give. He had smiled then, because men always smile when destiny speaks too early. Now, his hands were shaking. The air around the crown began to change, not growing hotter, but older, as if centuries were breathing through it, slow and patient. The ancient spell was waking, buried beneath stone, beneath bone, beneath names no one remembered anymore. Fire did not sleep. It waited. The crown pulsed once, like a heartbeat, not his. Images flooded his mind, cities burning beneath red skies, crowns melting into rivers of gold, kings screaming as history erased their names, and always the same crown. He saw himself among them, not standing above the ashes, standing inside them, a figure remembered, not as a ruler, but as a warning. The ground cracked. A thin line of fire crept across the stone, alive, hungry. People screamed in the distance. Bells rang. Too late. He could still walk away, drop the crown, let the night pass, allow another soul to bear the cost. The fire waited. So did the future. He closed his eyes and made the first mistake, because the crown does not choose the worthy. It chooses the willing. And when he placed it upon his head, the world began to burn. The fire did not explode. It spread slowly, patiently, as if it had learned long ago that fear grows best when it is allowed to breathe. At first, only the stones felt it. Hairline cracks formed in the square, thin as veins beneath skin. Warmth followed. Then light. People backed away, not running yet, not screaming yet, the kind of hesitation that comes before understanding. Inside the palace, the crown settled, not comfortably, not gently. It adjusted itself. The man beneath it felt the city the way one feels a limb, distant, connected, vulnerable. He could sense the streets, the walls, the crowded homes behind shuttered windows. Every fear, every hope, they pressed against him like whispers through water. He staggered, not from pain, but from weight. Power had texture. It scraped. The first scream reached him through the stone. Then another, then many not. Cries of burning flesh, but of recognition. They knew. Something ancient inside them recognized. what had returned, the crown responded. A pulse moved outward, invisible, but absolute. Flames dimmed. Walls stopped cracking. For a moment, the city obeyed. Silence followed. Heavy, expectant, he breathed. And for the first time, he believed the lie, that he could control it, that this power, better. The crown did not argue. It never does, because power does not correct, it records. At the eastern gate, the ash-colored figure moved, slowly, deliberately. Its steps left no prints, yet the ground remembered them. Guards watched it approach. None raised a blade. Their hands trembled, not with fear, but with memory. They did not know what it was. They knew what it meant. The figure stopped within sight of the walls. It did not look at the guards. It looked past them, toward the palace, toward the crown. Inside, the man felt it then, a pressure, a question, not spoken, felt. The crown tightened, not in threat, in expectation. The city waited, the fire waited, and somewhere, beneath the iron and flame, something old and patient smiled, because the second mistake had already been made. The night grew heavier, not darker, not colder, heavier, as if the sky itself had leaned closer to listen. The man stood alone in the throne room. No guards, no advisors, only stone, firelight, and the crown. It no longer rested quietly, its warmth pressed against his thoughts, shaping them, guiding them, testing how far they would bend before they broke. He understood now. The crown was not alive. It was worse. It was complete. It had seen every kind of ruler. The cruel, the righteous, the desperate, the hopeful. It had burned them all the same. Outside, the ash-colored figure raised its head. People froze in doorways. Windows creaked open, then shut again. Animals fell silent. Even the fire hesitated. Inside the throne room, the man reached up. His fingers touched the iron. It burned, not the flesh, the memory. He saw it all at once, not visions, not prophecies, records. Kings who had sworn they would end the cycle. Queens who had promised they would use the power only once. All of them believing they were the exception, all of them wrong. The crown did not whisper anymore. It did not need to. Understanding is louder than any voice. He fell to his knees. The weight was unbearable now, not because it was too much, but because it was honest. Outside the palace walls, the ash-colored figure stepped forward again. The ground cracked beneath its feet. Not from force, but from truth. The city remembered every lie it had ever accepted to survive. Inside, the man was shown the final choice, not a future, a consequence. If he ruled, but fear would become law. Children would learn silence before they learned hope. The crown would stay, and the world would burn slowly. If he refused, there would be no throne, no crown, no king. Fire would consume the palace. The city would fall. Mani would die. But the crown would be gone, and something unknown would be allowed to rise from the ashes. He laughed and a quiet sound, broken, because destiny had not asked what he wanted. It had asked what he was willing to lose. The ash-colored figure stopped, waiting. The crown tightened one last time, not in anger. In certainty, the man stood. He removed the crown. For the first time, it resisted, not with strength, with memory, with everything it had ever been. He screamed, not in pain, in release. When the crown struck the stone, the fire changed. It did not spread. It rose. The palace ignited from within. Walls cracked. Towers collapsed. The city watched helpless as its future burned. The ash-colored figure bowed its head, not in respect, in completion. By dawn, there was no throne, no palace, no crown, only ruins smoking quietly beneath a pale sky. They would argue for generations about what truly happened that night, about whether the man was a hero or a monster. History would never agree, but the fire remembered, and for the first time in centuries, it was silent.